Come on, there we go.
Hey, great evening. Just want to make sure that
Hello,
I'm
everybody.
testing the. Can y'all hear me, guys?
Welcome to this new
Can y'all hear me?
forum for candidates running for Brownsville City Commission.
Can you all hear me?
We're happy to be able to share this event with you so that you can make informed choices about the candidates who are running for the Brownsville City Commission. Let me just begin by telling you a little bit about myself and Frontera Progressives, and then I'll pass things over to Abril Flores, who is going to be moderating today's event. So my name is Mark Caswan. I am one of the co-founders of Frontera Progressives. We were founded back in 2017, January 2017, as an organization to help to educate the community, to promote and to provide opportunities for action around progressive values in Brownsville and the Rio Grande Valley. And we've been doing these candidate forums for a number of years. We found them to be a really great opportunity for voters to learn about the views of the candidates for local office. I do want to say that today, as well as yesterday, all of the candidates for these seats were invited to participate and received numerous emails and text messages from us to ask them to participate. Not all chose to respond. For today's
I can't do today's full event because if I do full screen, the sound will go out.
For the district's 3 seat, two candidates for the district for the at-large seat. I will say that Carlos Elizondo did respond to our requests, and unfortunately, because of his work schedule, was not able to attend. So with that, I will pass things over to Abril, who will then guide us through the rest of the
I hadn't set up the Zoom right, sorry.
Awesome, thank you, Dr. Caswan. Good evening, everyone. My name is Abril Flores, and I will be moderating as well the second forum for tonight. We're really excited for you all to be here, and we really do believe that accessibility to information is the most important thing, especially in our democracy and making informed decisions. So once again, thank you so much for coming. So just to give you a quick run through of what we're going to do today is first, we're going to go ahead and have some introductions from our candidates. Then we'll move on to questions. Each candidate will have 2 minutes per question to respond to the questions, I apologize. And then we'll move on to questions and answers from anyone who's posting those questions on Facebook. And then we'll go close it off with closing statements. But I will like to remind you that when you're not talking, please make sure that you place yourself on mute. And when it is your turn to speak, please unmute yourself. And then again, please keep it civil. And if you have any questions, just please let us know, and we're here to help. But other than that, let's go ahead and move on to introductions, and we'll go ahead and begin with the at-large B candidates. If Ms. Gowan, you would like to begin, you'll have 2 minutes.
Yeah?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Rose Gowan. I'm born and raised here in Brownsville. I'm a physician here in Brownsville, and I have had the privilege of serving as your city commissioner at large for the past several years. The reason I began looking at public office was because I wanted to make a difference in the health of the people of Brownsville and the region, including and most especially in reducing rates of diabetes and other obesity-related illnesses. 1 in 3 at that time of our people were diabetic compared to 1 in 10 in the nation, which meant if we didn't do something, every child growing up in the next generation would be virtually assured of becoming diabetic. And I wanted to make a difference in that. So almost all of my work surrounds all of the different aspects, whether they be economical or environmental or physical barriers to reducing health disparities, increasing access to healthy foods and fruits, and increasing physical activity. Most people don't appreciate that there is a piece of health in every single issue that we deal with, whether it's fixing potholes or economic development or outright health related things. All you have to do is look for that corner and make sure that all the corners then fit together well.
That's the only thing. She's a one-trick pony.
I have joined many partnerships, and I look forward to continuing some work that is very meaningful. We now have 1 in 4 people that are diabetic. So in the last 10 years, we have reduced the rates of diabetes, and we hope to see that maximize as the years move forward, for the economic reality of Brownsville, for the philosophic reality of Brownsville, and for the health reality of Brownsville. Thank you very much, and I look forward to engaging with all of you.
Thank you so much. Now, Mr. Castro, you have 2 minutes.
Well, thanks so much for hosting this forum. And let me say, my name is Erasmo Castro, and I have been a lifelong resident of the city of Brownsville. I had my schooling through public education. I serve as a minister at the Church of Christ, the Spanish Church of Christ, also here in Brownsville for more than 50 years. I work downtown at my office, and I serve the community in many facets. And I will say that one of the things that inspires me to run is to have the opportunity to enter into dialogue with a lot of the folks out there who are in leadership positions, and find answers to the different solutions, find answers to the different issues and different problems that affect folk here in the city of Brownsville. I will say that it took me 25 years to achieve a bachelor's degree. I do have a bachelor's degree from Austin Graduate School of Theology. It is in Christian Studies. And I appreciate the fact that it took me 25 years because it is a good example for individuals out there to let them know that it's never too late. Never too late to complete your education. It's never too late to be a part of the solutions with different issues that are concerning to us here in our community. I will say that one of the reasons why I have opted to run for city commissioner of the city of Brownsville is because I fear that a lot of the decisions that have been made as a whole by our local leadership have been wanting and not totally serving the community as a whole. I think it is important to be well-rounded in regards to dealing with every issue that is out there present of concern to different folks at different parts. One of the things that I wish to address primarily if elected to the city commission is our issues that we have with PUB and with economic development.
Thank you so much, Mr. Castro.
Thank you.
Now we're going to go ahead. Thank you. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to Mr. De Los Santos. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Abril. My name is Roy De Los Santos. I'm candidate for commissioner for District 3 for the city of Brownsville. I'm born and raised in Brownsville, Texas. Also attended public school, graduated from Rivera High School, class of 1992. I have an undergrad degree in marketing management and a master's in business administration. I've got 21 years experience with AT&T, focusing on customer care, customer experience, and resolving complaints. I've also got experience in hospitality and tourism and in the healthcare field. I'm real proud to be part of a race where we've got 3 candidates who are very engaged. I know Jessica is an educator and entrepreneur. Carlos is a healthcare professional, and I'm so glad that all 3 of them engaged. Even if all three could not attend tonight, I think the citizens of Brownsville have some great choices to choose from in this race. I personally jumped into it because I heard Commissioner Munguia was not planning to seek re-election. Wanted to make sure the citizens had a good candidate to choose from on the ballot. I had not heard of either of my opponents' names coming into the race before when I made my decision, so that should be no reflection on them. But basically, for too long, we hear about the problems of our city, and politicians always telling us how they're going to fix them, and then years later, the problems persist, and that's a concern for me. I've got a track record of getting good results in the organizations I've been a part of, and when I go toe-to-toe with the city. And some people say that sounds a little braggadocious or arrogant, and I apologize if it does. That's not my intention. my intention is to convey that I've got a good track record. This is not just lip service from another politician. And if you want results, then in District 3, you'll get them with Roy de los Santos. If elected, my priorities are reimagining economic development, infrastructure and emergency preparedness, higher standards for ethics, accountability, transparency, and communication, and reevaluating all boards, especially those that have a lot of power over the law, over citizens' rights, or over millions of dollars of citizens' monies. That's GBIC, that's PUB, and any others that fall in that category. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. de los Santos. Now we'll go ahead and finish off our introductions with Ms. Bradshaw. You have 2 minutes. You are on.
Okay. Thank you to Frontera Progressives for the forum, and thank you for Mark for being so flexible in his communication as well. To the voters, my name is Jessica Puente Bradshaw. I'm a resident of Precinct 97, which is the Los Serranos subdivision. I was born in Matamoros in 1974 and immigrated to Brownsville, where I've lived pretty much all my life since the age of 4. I graduated from South Texas High School for Health Professions in 1992. I attended UTB-TSC and the University of Utah, from which I graduated with my bachelor's degree. I've also lived in San Jose, California, where I've had some tremendous experiences as an educator. I began in middle school and was teaching language arts, reading, and social studies to a low-income school district, or within a low-income school district. However, my favorite memories are when I was an adult education teacher. I was teaching computer literacy, English, and naturalization classes, of which I'm also a naturalized citizen, and I became a citizen in 1998. I've been married to my husband of 26 years, and now coming up in April, and I have 2 wonderful children. In my spare time, just so people know, I love gardening, movie collecting, travel, and nature photography. I generally consider myself a helper by heart, which is why I decided to run for District 3 City Commission. I have run before for an at-large position, of which I was unsuccessful, but still successful in reaching out to the community. My background is in education, in nursing, and also in real estate, helping first-time home buyers. That shows me as being a helper by heart. I mean, that's really where my passion is. I want to help the community. I want to be a voice for people. And this is why I'm running, to represent the voice of the community, which many times feels unheard. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Bradshaw. And Dr. Caswell, can you please project the next slide? So this is a time where we're actually going to move on to our questions, and what this is going to look like before we engage in responses. We're going to start with the at-large B candidates, and we'll start with Erasmo Castro, and then we'll move on with Rose Gowen, and you'll each have 2 minutes. So I'll read the question. We'll also post it in the chat box, that way you can reference it if you need to. But let's go ahead and get started. And after that, I apologize, we'll move on to the District 3 responses with the same question. Are there any questions? All right.
No.
All right, thank you. So in our first theme, we are discussing immigration. So our question reads, some cities around the country with high numbers of undocumented immigrants, like in Brownsville, have established city offices to provide assistance that arise because of their immigration status. Do you think Brownsville should establish such a center? And we'll go ahead and start with Mr. Castro.
Well, thank you for the question. Let me say, first of all, that I completely don't understand why we don't have a facility already in play. One of the things that I think that we have been lacking in the city of Brownsville is to prepare for different situations that come our way. And if I may, I'll give a very, very quick example. We had a freeze in February that the city of Brownsville was ill prepared for. And we had absolutely no leadership coming from the city commission or from the city of Brownsville administration, none whatsoever. Everything went silent. And one of the excuses that was brought up was in regards to, that no one could have prepared for it. And my response to that was, well, we needed to be prepared for something. And I use it as an example solely. I mean, we knew beforehand that a lot of individuals were coming across the continent, wanting to come into United States. I mean, for our city leadership not to be prepared in regards to having the resources necessary out there to meet the needs of the different individuals that were coming our way really falls upon the administration of the city of Brownsville and our local leadership. And again, the same excuse that was used during the freeze might be used now in regards to, well, no one could have prepared for the a large amount of individuals coming across the border. And I give exactly the same response. We should have been prepared for something. And it's awesome that we are getting national recognition, that our mayor is coming out on different programs out throughout not only the country, but other parts of the world as well. And that's great. That's fine and dandy. But a lot of the questions that were asked in regards to preparedness, we never got a response for. So the city of Brownsville have offices in order to meet the needs of different individuals coming into the city of Brownsville. My question is, why haven't we had them set up already? Unlike a lot of our folks out there, they have been serving the city of Brownsville in a leadership position for many, many years, dare I say decades. And despite the fact, we have gotten nothing. And this is one of the reasons why we need a well-rounded candidate that's not focused on one subject and one subject only, one matter, one issue. We need individuals that are going to address all issues, not only here locally, but also the state level and at the federal level. They need to have our ear.
Thank you so much, Mr. Castro. Now, Ms. Gowan, you have 2 minutes to respond to
Thank you. So the city of Brownsville actually has fared quite well with respect to the immigrant issue, both the first time that it happened and the more recent time. And there have been many phone calls and many group meetings and many communications with state and federal agencies and entities with both the previous administration and the current administration. And there are difficulties that we have no control over, with such as we can't change the federal mandate of what's happening. We can't change the rules that DPS has for processing immigrants, but we can do, and we are doing very proactively and very productively, working hand in hand with many NGOs, and have given them office space near I believe it's in the class of the Nylon building, and all the support that we can for them to help the immigrants navigate through the process in front of them. And that has been true for quite a long while. And many people within the city administration, whether it be the mobility folks or the emergency preparedness folks or the metro folks or many health department and others, have really become engaged and not only spent their daytime hours, but their volunteer hours, after hours and during weekends, doing whatever it takes to help these folks navigate through. Again, we cannot control the federal mandate of how people come across the bridge into the country, and we have fared very well compared to other areas along the border. So I can answer it in that way. There are many NGOs that are housed within that space, and they are actively working every day to make a difference in the lives of the families that are having this really life-changing experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gowan. Let's go ahead and move on with Ms. Bradshaw. Would you like for me to repeat the question?
Sure, go ahead. That way the viewers can hear it again too.
Definitely. So the question reads: some cities around the country,
Terry, I'm sorry, Terry, but
high numbers of undocumented immigrants like Brownsville,
the questions aren't coming out on their platform because they're on my page.
Do you think Brownsville should
establish Terry, I appreciate the fact that they just can't answer.
Okay, thank you.
They're not seeing those.
So I think that it's important to understand that there is a difference between undocumented immigrants that are coming, so as we've been seeing as of late, that are coming through and being either transported elsewhere.
That's exactly my
process here in Brownsville.
Actually wrote that down
at the facilities nearby.
Becky, it's exactly what I wrote down.
That is a federal issue, and it's something that obviously the federal government has a lot of say as to how it's being done and how it gets done. So I agree in that regard. However, I think that in some cases, we also have to focus on people that are currently living in the United States who are maybe kind of stuck between, they're not exactly undocumented immigrants who just got here, but maybe they've been here for a while and they require some assistance so that they can get their paperwork together and see what avenues they have in order to be processed or to receive a status as citizens. And the reason I bring that up is because obviously, I don't have the exact answers right now. But as I mentioned earlier in my, as I was describing my bio, in San Jose, California, or in the state of California, there is a high number of immigrants. And cities do take some control over the immigration status and facilitating the needs of those individuals to help them become citizens. Now, again, I don't have a lot of say as to what the federal government does, but I can say that within the city of Brownsville, we should focus on our community as we have it now, the established community, and what can we do to help them to achieve the status that they require to be able to live lives that allow them an economy and a path to citizenship, home ownership, etc. So there's a differentiation, but I do believe that, and I do believe that we need to help some people out.
Thank you so much, Ms. Bradshaw. And let's finish this off with Mr. De Los Santos.
Thank you, Abadil. Absolutely, if we're talking about citizens of Brownsville, documented, undocumented, then we should be taking care of the needs of the citizens. We should be serving them. I think the question was around the high influx of undocumented immigrants coming in, and that could be those that are just passing through our city. That's something that really needs to be funded by the federal government. Would it be nice for Brownsville to provide something like that? Absolutely, but it's got to be subject to the availability of resources. I can't name one citizen who will tell you every one of my needs is being met by the city of Brownsville. And until that day, we should not start looking at programs where we're going to be giving away that money to help others who are not citizens in Brownsville, who are not going to be here permanently or full time. So that's why I focus on citizens versus just documented and undocumented. But yeah, as far as what Brownsville should be doing, take care of our citizens, top priority across the board with PUB, with city services, with first responders and emergency services. Everything else we need to look for the federal government to do their fair share as well, since those policies are what are driving this. And this is a humanitarian effort, and we see private groups pulling together like the Good Neighbor Settlement Home and others in town. We can take care and provide services to those people as a humanitarian effort, but the government needs to do their part. The city of Brownsville has an obligation first and foremost to its citizens.
That was a good answer.
Thank you so much, Mr. De Los Santos. Dr. Caswan, can you please project the next question? And I went ahead and put the lineup just for a quick reference. In this next question, we'll have Mr. De Los Santos first, then Ms. Bradshaw, then Ms. Gowan, and then Mr. Castro. So this one, economic development, post-COVID recovery. Large numbers of people lost their jobs and many businesses were forced to close down to the COVID-19 pandemic. Do you think the city is doing enough to support these businesses? If not, what else do you think the city should do? And we're going to start with Mr. De Los Santos, and you will have 2 minutes to respond. And just as a quick reminder, candidates, please ensure that you remain within your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Abadil. I would say first, no, I think with most issues, there's never enough that the city is doing, but that also needs to be balanced with the fact that the city does not necessarily have the resources to do all that needs to be done in a situation like this. This is unprecedented. And while those businesses are hurting, that means sales tax revenues are down. So that affects the city adversely as well. So what additional resources do we have? We don't. We're contingent on waiting on money from the federal government to help supplement the things we're having to do, just like we're doing today, mobilizing with vaccination clinics and putting to work our personnel. And that's something we need to do because it's in the best interest of our citizens, but sometimes it's a strain on our budgets and our resources. So are we doing enough? Absolutely not. Are we doing as much as we can? That's hard to say. I hope to have a better look at that if I'm lucky enough to be chosen by the citizens to serve as a commissioner and get a better perspective on that. But the needs of the business owners are paramount. I'm very happy to say I've spoken to some local business owners who are telling me that their numbers now are coming back and the revenues they're seeing are some of the best they've seen since pre-pandemic, even though they're still doing reduced hours and focusing more on food and family and less on alcohol and socializing. They're seeing great numbers, and that's good to hear for the entrepreneur and good to hear for Brownsville.
Thank you so much, Mr. De Los Santos. Now, Ms. Bradshaw, you have 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you. So I don't think that the city has done enough for the business owners of Brownsville. And we can always say we have a wish list, we want them to do more, let's get more money, help them out. I can tell you that during the pandemic, I was getting calls from business owners, and this was before I decided to run, but I was getting calls from them and they were suffering, and businesses were having to get shut down. And they felt that it was unfair that some businesses were closing, or, for example, small mom and pop convenience stores or grocery stores, local grocery stores, had their doors closed, while, for example, H-E-B and Walmart, it was okay for them to be open. So there was a lot of discrepancies there, and people don't like that. That's generally always the case. And so what could the city have done if they, to help the small business owner or the businesses of the city of Brownsville? They could have been a little more fair when it came to who closed, just fairness across the board, whether it's a small mom and pop place or a grocery store, regular chain. People want fairness when it comes to that. So, hindsight's always 20/20, but I think that moving forward, the city leadership needs to look at the needs of the businesses, talk to them, discuss what is it we can do to help. Many times the answers do not come just from the leadership, they come from the community. And it seems to me that with this pandemic, there wasn't a lot of feedback going back and forth. We didn't know what was coming in our direction. We didn't know what the consequences would be necessarily, but we knew what the measures were that we needed to take to stay safe. And I think that the answers will come when we listen to our community. And I think my time's up, right? It's coming up. I don't want to hear the buzzer.
Thank you so much. Ms. Gowan, would you like for me to read the question?
No, that's fine. So I think if I asked myself even a year and 2 months ago, was I going to live in a world where I had to put a mask on to go outside? I would have said, no, that's a sci-fi movie. And I think all of us would say the same thing. COVID is unlike any other pandemic or epidemic that we have ever come across. And the ability to keep your stores or your businesses open is in direct contraindication to the reality of meeting together, being around people, visiting places is unfortunately, or was, causing a rise in the number of COVID cases and infecting the small business owners, so that even though they would open, they would then shortly close. And we had several small establishments that did open and then were seen to close several weeks later when all of their employees or many of their employees got sick. So it's been a very unusual time the world has never seen, certainly Brownsville has never seen before. And it was something that we were learning about on the go every single
She's
day.
not
It's
answering
not something
anything.
that we could predict. It's not something that we can anticipate.
Nothing.
But I'll tell you what, we did keep in touch with the very, very experts and world experts that we have at our disposal amongst us. There have been grants through BCIC that have gone to small businesses to support them during the COVID pandemic that have been very well received. There have been departments at the city that have helped small business owners to understand the federal programs that were out for support of small businesses, and that has been very well received. And we have worked with our own health department and planning department to come up with innovative ways to open, such as the parklet that you see in front of Terra's is an example of a structural change that I actually learned about several years ago in California, near Los Angeles.
Your time is up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
And just as a reminder, Dr. Caswan is showing you time just in case to keep you on track. Thank you. Mr. Castro, go ahead and take us away with your response.
Well, let me say, unlike unlike my opponent, I completely disagree in regards to the city of Brownsville being all out there for the small business here in the city of Brownsville. Look, we're going to hear the same excuse from local leadership and administration that we've heard in regards to everything that's come our way. You know, they always want to place blame on everything other except the inadequacies and the missteps that the city of Brownsville took in regards to this pandemic. Look, guys, we all understand that this is a once in a millennium, once in a lifetime type of situation. We all know all that. We don't need to hear that. We need to know how the city of Brownsville was going to help small business. And let me say, if you, all we have to do is ask small business throughout the city of Brownsville, and they'll tell you exactly what I'm going to say right now. City leadership, administration failed small business in Brownsville. One of the things that was mentioned, and one of the first things that I wrote when the question was out there, was in regards to the different grants that were being provided by the different committees of the different entities here in the city of Brownsville. Guys, it's a failed process. It is a selective process, and like Commissioner mentioned, you know, it benefited a lot of the businesses out like Terra's, as she mentioned, and other very niche little restaurants out there downtown who were able to provide these grant monies to these individuals. If we go back and look at the list, it's always the same people that are getting the benefits from the different committees out there, guys. A small business is faltering and is fading, and a lot of the recommendations and mandates that came down from leadership didn't make any sense to small business. They were having them at 25%, at 50%, and 75%, and it was getting small business nowhere. And they had absolutely no recourse to go. And everyone wanted to point fingers at everywhere, guys. And let me tell you, it was the county that placed most of the mandates out there, but we needed someone on our city commission to fight for small business. They failed us then, they'll fail us now, and they'll continue to fail us in the future.
Thank you so much, Mr. Castro. And our next, question 3. I was gonna say quarter 3, I'm sorry. We will go with Mr. Castro first, then Ms. Gowan, and then I lost my chat box, sorry.
They put me on the big screen.
Ms. Bradshaw, and then
Bradshaw and
De Los Santos. Yes, thank you. So this one's a little hefty one. So I am more than happy to repeat it at any point. So this was related to SpaceX. SpaceX was originally permitted to build a launch facility on Boca Chica Beach for 12 launches a year of its Falcon rocket. But instead, it is developing a new rocket, the Starship Heavy, and testing it a few times a month, with frequent closures of Highway 4 and Boca Chica Beach. It has also led to substantially more environmental damage to wetlands and wildlife refuges, including a number of threatened and endangered species. On the other hand, Elon Musk is promising that this will lead to a lot more jobs for the area, although the perception is that few local people are getting jobs there. How do you think the city of Brownsville can hold SpaceX accountable for its promises to invest in the community and provide good job opportunities for local residents beyond service and support jobs, as well as ensure access to Boca Chica Beach?
Well, let me say, if I may, the way that the city of Brownsville, the residents of the city of Brownsville, can guarantee that Elon Musk will, provide to give up exactly what he has promised the city of Brownsville, is to change the leadership that is in office right now. Again, all the promises that Elon Musk has made throughout his tenure, throughout his time here in Brownsville, while he was courting Brownsville, was made under the leadership of a lot of the individuals who are currently sitting in the city commission. Guys, they've made promises to us that they have not kept. And let me tell you, one of the first things is that the city commission seems to do is applaud everything and anything that Elon Musk or anyone else that offers a couple of pennies to the city of Brownsville. They are all out there ecstatic and promoting it, guys. Let me tell you, I am very, very concerned, very, very concerned with the promises that Elon Musk has made to the city of Brownsville and the promises that have not been kept. But again, who's going to keep him in check? Who's going to hold him accountable? Who's going to hold him to his word? How many more of our resources, how much more of our tax dollars have to go to this billionaire in order to appease and to sell away that which should be our for our children's inheritance? Guys, our people don't have access to Boca Chica Beach anymore. You know, it's very, very limited, and it's at his whim that everything gets closed down. How much more of Brownsville are we going to sell away to Elon Musk for 30 pieces of silver, folks? Really? And anyone that believes, and the question is, how can we hold him accountable? It starts by changing the individuals that we have in leadership positions. They have got to go. Not only individuals on the city commission, but also individuals that form a lot of these boards and committees that should have been out there also giving information to the city commissioners or the mayor of the city of Brownsville in regards to the promises not kept. It's going to happen. Accountability is going to happen when we change to the city commission.
Thank you, Mr. Castro. Ms. Gowan, would you like for me to repeat the question?
No, I think I got it. It is a very complex question, and thank you for acknowledging that. Certainly, SpaceX's presence here, it has many good things and some that are not so good. And for instance, there are many children that will grow up with science on their mind and going into fields of science and STEM careers that would not have been motivated to do so if this was not present. And that's a good thing because it creates jobs and it creates career paths that can now exist in Brownsville that didn't have that opportunity before. And I have spoken with many of the PhD recipients that come from Brownsville, come from the southmost area, and have benefited from the experience of working with the scientists here. Boca Chica Beach is beautiful. I no doubt about it. And during the COVID crisis, it was one of the very safe places to go because it was beautiful and there were not people around. And of course, none of us want to lose that. 400 families now live, SpaceX families now live in Brownsville. So they are buying homes, they are shopping in our stores, they are eating in our restaurants, and that is a benefit as well. And additionally, the city limit, SpaceX does not sit within the city limits, and the city of Brownsville did not give any property tax breaks because it's not Brownsville property.
We sure gave money.
The key is that the leadership that exists in Brownsville and the county need to keep them accountable and need to make sure that they are providing the resources that we need to protect us, but also that philanthropy doesn't stop with the current numbers that have been given us, but continue and be used in a meaningful way. Thank you.
Ridiculous.
Thank you so much, Ms. Gowan. Ms. Bradshaw?
My Lord.
Okay, I'm setting my timer. So I think that when it comes to SpaceX, what I have heard, from individuals is that live within the city is when they're not happy with the terms of this contract and how they've changed, as you mentioned in your question. Now, Ms. Gowan does make a very good point. That point being that the county is really the one that is in charge of SpaceX, and they are set right now, they're sitting on county land. And so the city of Brownsville may not necessarily have a lot of say. However, because our community is adjacent to that SpaceX facility, many from our community live in that area, right there next to Boca Chica Beach, and they are being affected. And they are also part of our community, even though they may be county. We feel the repercussions. Jobs were promised. Jobs, we can say that we have families from California moving here, but that is not a job that was created for the people and does not employ necessarily the people of Brownsville. And so that is very upsetting. I think what also upsets a lot of people is that when it comes to Elon Musk, when it comes to SpaceX, the leadership within Brownsville seems to pander to this individual's whims. They laud him. He's just excellent. And now he's going to give money to downtown, which many people don't even agree with that. What are we going to do about these wetlands? Where's the money going to protect that environment? So whatever leadership, whether it's county or city, they're not holding this individual accountable. I like Elon. I've never met him, but he seems like a really nice person. However, a big wallet doesn't mean that you get to do whatever you want to do to an area. And so we have to hold him accountable. We've got to put on our big boy pants and say, hey, just because you come from California doesn't mean we do whatever you want.
Or big girl pants, right? Thank you so much, Ms. Bradshaw.
Or big girl pants.
Big boy Pat.
Mr. De Los Santos, go ahead.
Hi, Jessica. Me botas.
Thank you. Accountability, and I think several of the candidates have hit on this. This isn't a city issue. Now we do have the opportunity to be vocal about what we disagree with regard to this, but we have no power over him. And it's not just Cameron County, it's Austin. We know the governor's office was involved in this deal in bringing him to Texas. They wanted him here, and he's not just bringing business to
Brownsville
Cameron
did
County.
too.
He's bringing it to other cities in the state of Texas as well. So this is an issue that has repercussions at the state level. So it's going to take lobbying to hold him accountable. The expansion, I think there are going to be pros with it. There are also going to be cons. We need to work to mitigate as many of those as we can, especially as it pertains to the environment, because this is a great area for tourists, for retirement, for fishing, for all types of outdoor sports, and that is all in danger if we're going to keep hurting the wetlands and hurting the natural areas. Access to Boca Chica Beach, that's very important to me. I grew up going out there, learning to fish out there with my grandparents. If he's going to be closing Boca Chica way more often than was anticipated, he can afford it. He should be building a brand new road that goes around where SpaceX is so that it would never be closed and the public would always be able to have access to that beach. That's something the state of Texas should be demanding. That's something Cameron County should be demanding.
That's what we
That's
should be
something that
demanding.
the citizens are entitled to because it is a Texas beach. It is a public beach.
That's what we need to start to
so
demand. God, come on,
As a city
guys.
commissioner, I would absolutely be as vocal as I can. It would take lobbying.
We
have
have
talk to our
to.
state reps, our state senators, but it's going to be something at the Cameron County level and at the state level if we're absolutely going to apply pressure to force them to mitigate any negatives that they're bringing as part of this change in plans and expansion. And like Commissioner Gowan said, we need to make sure that they're continuing to give back to these communities that they're having negative impacts on.
Oh, God.
Thank you so much, Mr. De Los Santos. And then I went ahead and put the last question for the lineup. Mr. De Los Santos, you'll go first, then Ms. Bradshaw, then Ms. Gowan, and then Mr. Castro. All right, term limits. So a measure has been placed on the ballot establishing term limits for the mayor and city commissioners. Advocates say it is necessary to limit corruption and make room for new voices by forcing elected officials to move on after 2 terms. Opponents say that's what elections are for. If we are unhappy with our representatives, then we can support candidates we like better. Do you support or oppose the term limits proposal? And Mr. De Los Santos, you will have 2 minutes to respond first.
Thank you, Abril. No, I am opposed to the term limits. And for one particular reason is that we're talking about the city of Brownsville. If we were talking about Washington, D.C., I would say absolutely. Because the problem in Washington, D.C. is one man can say yes or no, you can't even debate this issue. And that's a problem. When one person has that much power and the elected representatives of the people do not get to speak, that's too much power. And they amass that much power because they've been there so long. City of Brownsville, every commissioner is an equal vote. The mayor's 1 vote. He may chair the meetings, but commissioners on their own can put items on the agenda. They're not limited to the mayor's whim. They're not limited to the city manager's whim. And so I think the people should be the ultimate deciders of who best to represent their districts. We've seen, I know the argument is that when you're an incumbent, you've got a lot more power. But we've seen races where an incumbent is facing a former school board president, a former mayor, very formidable opponents. And still the citizens come out overwhelmingly for who their choice is. So while that argument might be true in areas where a commissioner would have a lot more power, like if it was a county commissioner who had a budget and staff and was making things happen, as opposed to just voting at a high level like our city commission does, that would be different. But that's not the case here. And I think limiting choices, when citizens find a commissioner that they love and that is doing a good job for them and they want to keep reelecting them, that shouldn't be taken away from them. If a better candidate comes along, they will elect a better candidate. But in the absence of that, or when they have a great commissioner that they want to keep, the citizens should have that right. They should be the ultimate deciders. That's what democracy is all about. And I don't believe in taking that away from any citizens in any district.
Thank you, Mr. Dos Santos. And now Ms. Bradshaw, you have 2 minutes.
Okay. I disagree with my opponent in regards to this question. In a perfect world where we don't have to worry about politiqueras, we don't have to worry about busing, we don't have to worry about voter fraud, we don't have to worry about block voting. Yeah, it all works great because people get out and vote and they elect their leaders or they unelect them. We don't live in that perfect world here in the Valley, unfortunately, and certainly not in Brownsville. Sorry, if that's a newsflash for most people, then it's a newsflash. I do support the term limits, and this is why. As far as the ballot proposition goes, it says that it's 2 terms and then you're out. If I'm doing a great job as your district commissioner, nothing prevents me from now running for an at-large position. If I'm doing a great job, the voters will see it, whether they are in my district or not, and they will elect me for an at-large position. If I'm doing a great job for 2 terms at an at-large position, they will elect me and I can run for mayor. Mr. De Los Santos said it himself. Every vote is equal within that city commission. So therefore, if I vote as a district commissioner, as an at-large commissioner, as a mayor, it doesn't bear more weight. So when leaders are true leaders and they do represent the people, then they should have no fear of getting unelected. Because if they know that they can do a better job, then let's give them more responsibility, seek higher office, and move forward from there. Like I said, newsflash, we have situations where people ballot harvest, and that makes the voting process very unfair. And that's what people are worried about. This is a volunteer position, volunteer opportunities. 4 years for anybody to do something is a long time if you're going to spend a lot of time doing it. I think I'd be exhausted at the end of it, but I'm happy to be exhausted for the citizens of Brownsville.
Thank you so much. Now, Ms. Gowan, you have 2 minutes.
So I have to compliment you on your questions. They are complex, and that's good because it makes us think before we answer. It should. I voted the first time it came around and this time to put this issue on the ballot because it is a complex issue and because it shouldn't be what I believe and it shouldn't be what you believe, but it should be what the people want to see. I think whether or not there are term limits depends on the office. It depends on the locality, whether it be local, state, or federal. And much of what Mr. De Los Santos said is very much I agree with. Personally, I don't favor term limits at this level, but that is just my opinion. And if I was trying to sway the people or if I was trying to game the system, I would not have voted to put it on the ballot, and I have twice. So yes, I'm glad to see it on the ballot and glad to see it, the people decide on which way they want to go with this issue. But I do think there is great value in being a productive member of a city commission or any other local entity. And I will be very happy to continue to make progress. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Castro, go ahead and close us off with your response.
Thank you for the question. Let me say, I am all for term limits. Something that I preached about for many, many years. Is something that is needed not only in the city of Brownsville, Cameron County, but also at the state level. Let me say, it's one thing to say, well, we're all for it and vote for it, but very hypocritical to continue to, pursue a position after, you've requested that term limits be considered. I'm all for term limits. My concerns have to be deal with retaliation. And let me say, I'm going to use the words of Commissioner Jessica Tetreault, if I may. She's not present in this forum. And Commissioner Jessica Tetreault, when the matter was brought up, was very, very pointed in regards to saying that it was retaliation against her, a sitting city commissioner. And I think if that is the reasoning behind why the city commission and the mayor opted to put this forward, it is really for the wrong reasons, guys. We should have term limits, and individuals should vote for term limits because of exactly what Ms. Puente Bradshaw mentioned. Guys, anyone who disagrees that we have issues with politiqueras, vote harvesting, or individuals spending fortunes on their campaign, goodness gracious, guys, our individuals can compete. And I'm sorry, unlike Mr. De Los Santos and unlike Commissioner Gowan, I completely disagree with everything that they mentioned, guys. Look, we need to give opportunities to our individuals who grow up down southmost, who grow up in Las Pietas, to be able to serve on the city commission or anywhere else that they choose to. But they can't when sitting city commissioners have spent over $150,000 in order to attain a position that pays nothing. It is ridiculous the amounts of money that a commissioner spend, the mayor spends in order to be elected, guys. That money has to be paid back somehow. It is being paid in tenfold with contracts and with skimming off monies that should be going to our resources, to our people. It's got to stop, and term limits is a good start.
Thank you, Mr. Castro. So that's actually it for our questions. Thank you so much. Dr. Castro, would you like to move into one question from Facebook?
Let me pose this to the candidates, because here's the deal. We have 8 minutes left for closing statements. If each of you takes 2 minutes for your closing statements, that's 8 minutes, and that brings us up to 7:30. If we take one of our audience questions, then that's going to make us go about 10 minutes over. So I want to be respectful of everybody's time. If anybody cannot stay for an extra 10 minutes, then we will not do any of the audience questions. But if you're all okay with it, then we'll go ahead, and I think I have one of our audience questions that I think I'd like to be able to ask. So what do you guys think? Is this? Can you just affirm for me that it's okay?
I've got all night.
Okay, Miss Bradshaw, are you okay with it? Yeah. Okay. Very well. All right. So here's the question. Let's see. I think this is the one that interests me the most. We need bus stops. Why have the bus stops not been constructed when we have structures in our city warehouses?
I'll take the question.
So Abril, can you lead us through calling on the candidates?
For sure. On my list, I had Mr. Castro first.
Okay.
Yes. Well, thank you. That's an amazing question. And again, it is very blatant to see how horribly the current city commission has failed the citizens of Brownsville, the weakest of Brownsville. Let me say, guys, unfortunately for us, when we ask for the basic services that our people should get, is that we get nothing. And I'm going to go back to the first question that was asked, where my opponent made mention of Casa de Nylon building. Casa de Nylon building is a mess, folks. We paid $2.3 million for a building, an asbestos-filled building that is only used by homeless individuals to sleep under on the awnings outside. That we've received promises that it's going to be made into a fire department hub. Then now they're saying that it's going to be a entrepreneur mega hub and stuff. And all we get is promises. We get nothing. And the bus stops are a clear example of how the current city commission and the city of Brownsville administration have failed our people. How long have we been clamoring, yelling, screaming out to the city commissioners to provide the basic needs for our people? But ultimately what happens is the city commission doesn't care about the poorest among us. They don't care about the weakest. They don't care about our disabled. They don't care about our elderly. We've seen the pictures of our individuals waiting out there at the bus stops in the inclement of the weather, when it's been raining, when it's cold. Have the city commission even addressed it? While all these bus coverings are lying in warehouses, it's something that I asked the previous city manager. I said, city manager, why have we not gotten bus stops for our folks? He said, well, they're in the warehouse. I said, well, put them up. The excuse is always there's never any money, and there's never any money because of the pet projects that are out there, like the Ciclopias that have lost us all these hundreds of thousands of dollars, and Casa de Nylon, where we spent $2.3 million. Let's get our city resources back to the people of Brownsville and out of the pockets of politicians.
Ms. Gowan, you're next.
So the bus stops are very important. I agree. And I have worked on them for quite a while. And it wasn't for my effort to push the city towards applying for the Tiger grant that we were awarded several years ago. We would have even fewer bus stops than we have now. Working for the poorest among us is what I do.
Not true.
And I do work for the people that walk, ride bikes, and as well as take the bus and drive their cars.
No.
The BCIC is taken on and partnered with
Liar.
the Small Business Association to create an enormous project at the Casa Nylon building that is under construction and development right now, and will serve many of the people of Brownsville, entrepreneurs as well as individuals.
Not
Bus
true.
stops are kind of are probably never going to have enough funds to provide as many as we need.
Yeah, because
But it is something that I have worked diligently on. And as I said, if it wasn't for my
Liar.
efforts with the Tiger Grant, we wouldn't have gotten the several, I forget how many it was, but I'm going to say 30 or 40 bus stops that came attached with that funding source. Thank you.
Not true. Oh
Thank
my
you.
God.
Ms.
My
Bradshaw, would you like to
God. My
respond? Would you
God.
like to hear the question again?
I think I got it. Why don't we have bus stops, right? Okay, 2 minutes. It's interesting how these bus stops questions came up 2 years ago when I ran for city commissioner at large A, and they've been coming up year after year after year. I think the frustrations of the citizenry, of the residents of Brownsville,
Nothing
is that
gets
we keep hearing about these bus stops and they're sitting there. In the meantime, we're working on it, but nothing is happening and results aren't being seen. And we still have people standing out in the sun. We have people who are literally sheltering in people's porches, waiting for the bus to get to where it is. And here's the thing, guys, it's unfortunate, but our bus system is not a quick one. It's not like you're gonna get a bus coming through every 5-10 minutes. You're gonna be sitting there for a good 30-45 minutes to an hour waiting for a bus to come over. So here's the thing. Why is that happening? It's the lack of being proactive when it comes to our city commission, to our leadership. Now, Daniel Lenz, who happens to be my treasurer, is quite knowledgeable in this topic. He has served in the city, and he can't even answer the question, and he was in the thick of it. So why don't we have them? I don't know. Maybe we need leadership that is willing to go beyond the status quo. You know, the wheels within the city government turn very slowly, but do we have someone with passion and proactivity to say, hey, let's get this done?
No.
For our community. This is not a slight on anyone, but yes, absolutely. Trails are important, bikes are important, but many people sometimes cannot walk or ride a bike, and so they do need the buses. So we need to provide for them. Absolutely. I'm willing to definitely look into that matter and get things done, engage our community. Maybe they can help us out.
Amen.
Thank you so much, Ms. Bradshaw. And Mr. De Los Santos.
Thank you, Abril. It's not surprising to hear that we've got an issue like that, and I know we've got a laundry list of issues like that. And it's one of the pitfalls of a town like this where we've got one of the lowest incomes per capita, and we hear constantly where we definitely don't want to see taxes raised because this is one of the low income areas. But with a growing city and with deteriorating infrastructure, it's hard to keep up with those needs. I know Metro is a federally funded program. I know there are federal grants, and I'm very thankful that we had that Tiger grant, that the new bus stops came in. But for all that equipment that came in that's just sitting in a warehouse, that's money wasted now.
Yep.
And I understand it takes money to put that to work, but that money is going to waste if it's just sitting in a warehouse and the citizens aren't benefiting from it.
Mm-hmm.
So more of an effort needs to be made. And I think we've got to reprioritize what the needs of the citizens are, what we can afford. And when we know we can't afford everything on the list, what do we check off first? And we need to think about it from an economic perspective, is getting people to jobs, allowing people to go to and from the grocery store and get their basic needs. And then we can take care of other things in the city above and beyond that. But roads, bus stops, emergency services, city services, those are very, very important. Those should be at the top of everybody's list on the city commission and at the city manager's office.
Yeah.
And that's something I will absolutely be holding their feet to the fire on if I'm elected commissioner for District 3.
Thank you so much, Mr. De Los Santos. So thank you all for staying a little bit longer and answering, the questions that the community on Facebook poses. I think those are always really interesting. So thank you for sharing your perspectives on it and advocating on behalf of the community. So we're going to go ahead and move on to our closing statements. Yes, Dr. Caswan? Awesome. And we're going to go ahead and start with Mr. De Los Santos, then Ms. Bradshaw, then Mr. Castro, and then Ms. Gowan, and you'll each have 2 minutes. So, Mr. De Los Santos, you are up first.
Thank you, Abril, and thank you to the Frontera Progressives, and thank you for letting us take an audience question. I think it's important to answer the questions coming from people, and it's important for the people to be able to have forums like this to listen to candidates firsthand. I've been a public servant all my life, just not in an elected office, working for different nonprofit organizations from junior high to high school to my adult life. And I do have a knack for when things are broken, going in there and being able to put the right minds together and just look at common sense, folks. What makes sense? What's the right thing to do, and getting those things done. That's something I'm very proud of us having accomplished with Sombrero Festival. Before, it was how do we pay the bills? We had no money to give out to nonprofit organizations. It was tough to pay bills. At one point, our organization was considering filing for bankruptcy if things continue to deteriorate. Now our problem is we don't have enough space. We've got to close our gates early. We've got to cut back. But now we also have a ton of money giving away $50,000 to $100,000 a year to nonprofit organizations. So that is a testament to show what can be accomplished when people come together and work together and doing things the right way for the right reasons. Get rid of special interests, get rid of sacred cows, focus on the needs of the people, the needs of the organization, and in this case, the organization is the city of Brownsville. I'm someone that's got a great track record of accomplishing things, and I think both of my opponents in my race have a record of accomplishing things in what they've done, both as individuals, as parents, as business people, and I'm very proud that they've got 3 good choices for the citizens for District 3, but I will just say that I will serve you guys faithfully, humbly, and diligently if I'm lucky enough to have your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Bradshaw, 2 minutes.
Unmuted myself. Thank you to everyone. Thank you to Frontera Progressives, Abril, Mark. Those of you who are taking time to watch this forum, definitely appreciate the time that you're taking. I know you'll watch it now and share it later. You know, the greatest issue that's affecting the community right now is that disconnect and lack of unity between the leadership and the people. And it's been going on for a while. Too many feel that they're not being heard or acknowledged regarding the prioritization of their needs. My goal as your commissioner will be to be a listener, a communicator, and a doer. Whether you're an employee within the city, part of our first responders, a small business owner, or just a regular resident just like me, you matter. You matter to me. Elect me, Jessica Puente Bradshaw, because I will listen to the people of District 3. I will communicate with the people of my district because they want to know what's going on in the city. No one likes to be left out in the dark. I will also be a doer. And as your commissioner, I may not always have the answers, but I will work to get them for you. I'm here to be part of your team. Join me as we unite the city with the common goals, interests, and dreams for the future. With me, you're going to get communication, collaboration, courage. I humbly ask for your vote. Early vote starts April 19th through the 27th. Election day is May 1st. I cannot express the gratitude and appreciation I have for the whole community that has supported me and continues to support me as I go and talk to people. I humbly ask for your vote. Vote Jessica Puente Bradshaw for District 3 Commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Castro.
Well, again, thank you to Frontera Progressives for this forum, and thank you everyone that has been listening in or watching in. Let me say, guys, we need to come together as a community and ultimately decide on where we want to take the future of the city, of our city, of the city of Brownsville. And let me say, all we have to do, folks, is just to look back and to see what we haven't received in the past 10, 12 years, folks. We haven't gotten any transparency. We haven't gotten any answers. We haven't moved forward in regards to any of the natural or resources that our individuals here in the city of Brownsville demand and want. One of the things that I have made a promise to my community in regards throughout this campaign is that we're going to bring back a lot of the things that a lot of the individuals who have been asking questions about, and that's in regards to having transparent government. We don't have transparency in the government. We've never gotten any answers to the issues that are most spending to our individuals. Where are our dollars going? And if you ask the city commission, everything's been going great. Everything's been going wonderful. Yet we're still stuck with a $2.3 million building, the Casa de Nylon building, which is a block and a half away from where I'm sitting right now. So I see it on a daily basis, guys. It is an eyesore. El Jardín Hotel is an eyesore in the middle of downtown, and all we get is promises, and these promises come about every single time commissioners and maybe even mayors just seek re-election, folks. All we get is promises. We get nothing. We get nothing except a little quasi event here and there where we are dishing out another $275,000 for nothing. We're throwing away money for nothing that benefits anyone in the city of Brownsville, but the elite, the few, the individuals that can afford, as my opponent mentioned, going to Terras on a daily basis. The majority of the city of Brownsville can't afford to do that, guys. They want the resources. They want the things to come back. Guys, if you're tired of Tenasca money disappearing, if you're tired of PUB rates being so high, then please vote for change.
Thank you, Mr. Castro. And then Ms. Gowan.
Thank you. And thank you for holding the forum, and thank you for your thoughtful questions. They were tough and they were complex. And as I said, that's to your credit. I think the reason that we have elections is that if you asked 100 people what to prioritize the needs that they see in the city, you'd probably get 100 answers, or at least a dozen, because everyone disagrees and everyone has their own personal opinion on what is a priority and what is not. I am very proud to have won the faith of the citizens for the last several years, and I hope to continue. And I think that they believe and know me for a person of integrity, to behave with integrity at all times, and to work for them. And that is one of the reasons I left private practice and went to work for community health clinics, so that I could serve personally, integrity, as well as publicly, the poorest among us, and be a better physician because I know what is happening in the city and so forth. Projects are very varied, and they have very many facets. Fast the Nylon may have started under questionable circumstances, but contracts have been awarded to E-Bridges recently, and it will start very soon. And the Small Business Association would not be partnering with the city of Brownsville if it didn't have faith in what was going to happen there. So I think that we all have the list of priorities in our mind, and it is up to us to go out and vote and exercise that right, and think about the integrity in the future of what you want to see continue and what you want to see for the future of Brownsville and its people.
Thank you so much. And Dr. Kazwan, would you like to close this off?
Sure. Well, let me just say thank you to everyone for participating in this event. You've given some very interesting answers to, as Dr. Gowan said, very complex questions. And I think this has done a great deal for the city of Brownsville, and will help voters be able to make decisions going forward. So thank you all once again for participating in this, and thank you especially for adhering to our rules and sticking to our time limits. I encourage everyone, of course, to get out and vote. Early voting starts on Monday, April 19th. Election day is on Saturday, May 1st. Share this, please, with our live session here will be on the Frontera Progressives Facebook page under events, or I think that it may be under events, it may be under videos. But you can, thank you. You can share that with your friends and your neighbors, and to the other folks in your community. And help get this information out, and help make a better Brownsville. So with that, I will just say thank you once again. Thank you to Abril for your excellent work in posing the questions and moderating. And thank you to the candidates. And we'll see what happens on May 1st. All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.
A great job, guys.
Thank you.
Great job. Thank you all so much, really.
You bet. Well, thanks for participating. We're glad to be able to have these kinds of events.
Well, it's really awesome that y'all are having them, because maybe a lot of people will use the excuse of the pandemic, but we need more forums. We need more opportunities to give individuals out there, a chance to ask questions. And, I'm grateful. I was actually getting close to these days and thinking, maybe we're not going to have any forums, any opportunities. And then when I got y'all's email, it was so awesome. It was a breath of fresh air, man. And really, it is greatly appreciated and very, very much needed in the city of Brownsville.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You. All right. Take care, everybody.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Well, guys, I'm back with you. And no, there was no information in regards to giving a date. There's always been promises made about Casa de Nylon. Promises and promises and promises and promises, and nothing ever gets done. Now election gets close, guys, and now everyone has a solution for Casa de Nylon building. Again, guys, it's madness. Guys, we have an hour and 15 minutes for the show to start. I will sign off right now and get ready for 9 p.m. Guys, thank you all so much for listening in. Thank you so much in regards to the forum. We are going to discuss some of the same questions that were asked at the forum with Alberto Velez, who is candidate for District 4, guys. He stated that he would want to come out with us on tonight. So we're going to give him the opportunity. Again, guys, this forum is available to everyone out there that wants to, share with us what their ideas are in regards to the city of Brownsville. So, guys, I'm signing off for right now, and we'll be back at 9 p.m., guys. Thank you, guys. Have a beautiful, beautiful evening. See you in a bit, and get that popcorn and watch it on YouTube, please. Bye, guys. Love y'all.